Hi everyone, this is the latest video about the changes to the asylum and immigration process due to Covid-19 coronavirus. We're recording this video on the morning of Monday the 30th of March, so all the changes are up to date up to then. And as always, we are updating the blog post that this video is based on all the time as soon as we get new information, and you can find that blog post on the front page of our website, righttoremain.org.uk. So if you go to our website, you'll find it as either the first or one of the first posts on the website. We're not going to assume that anyone's watched the previous videos, so I'll recap the changes that we've already talked about in previous versions of this video. A reminder about visas, that the government announced that people in the UK on visas that are due to expire can get their leave extended to, at the moment, the 31st of May if you can't return home because of coronavirus. But you do need to contact the Home Office to ask them to extend the leave, the visa. It's not automatic. And over the weekend, it was announced that all the visa appointment centres in the UK are now closed. And for more information on things like visas and these appointment centres, we do recommend you check out the Free Movement blog post, which we link to off our blog post. Also a reminder, there is a helpline the Home Office have set up if you have queries about your situation, but we're hearing reports of extremely long waits to get through and people struggling to get through, but it is worth a try. The calls are free. We'll look first at Asylum. Asylum screening interviews. The screening interview is the first interview you'll have after claiming asylum. It's quite a short interview. Some of these interviews are being cancelled, but not all of them are being cancelled. As of Thursday, the 26th of March, we were still hearing about screening interviews going ahead, but some of these interviews are being cancelled, so a mixed picture about screening interviews. The asylum substantive interview, this is the big interview, usually the second interview you have after claiming asylum. The situation remains, as we mentioned in previous videos, that the Home Office have paused face-to-face substantive interviews, so they're not going ahead with face-to-face interviews at the moment. In theory, they will be able to conduct interviews by video link, by Skype, because they were doing this for some people anyway, but that does still require, it has in the past anyway, required the Home Office interviewer, the interpreter, and obviously the person claiming asylum to be present at a Home Office office, although they are different offices that they're present in. And the Home Office are trying to stop people needing to be in the Home Office branches at all. So it looks like they're trying to figure out a way of doing these interviews from people being at home, but that hasn't been announced yet. So no face-to-face substantive asylum interviews at the moment. The big news over the weekend was finally an announcement from the Home Office about asylum support. So on the 27th of March, Friday night, the Home Office announced that for the next 3 months, people will not be asked to leave their asylum accommodation. So you would normally be asked to is quite a nice way of putting it, told to leave your asylum accommodation if you had a positive decision, so if you were granted, for example, refugee status or humanitarian protection. And of course, you'd also be asked to leave your asylum accommodation if you'd had your asylum claim refused and then perhaps refused as well on appeal at the first tier tribunal. But for the next 3 months, the Home Office are saying they will not be asking people to leave asylum accommodation, and financial support will continue with that accommodation. And they're going to review this situation at the end of June. For people who have already been evicted from asylum accommodation, maybe a long time ago, people who are destitute already, it is worth thinking about whether you would have grounds to apply for what's called Section 4 support. Section 4 support is a kind of asylum support, accommodation and money, for people who are appeal rights exhausted, so you've had your refusal from the Home Office and from the courts, but for some reason you're not able to leave the UK, and for some people this is because they have a fresh claim in with the Home Office, and in other circumstances it can be if you're not able to travel back to your country. So at the moment there's a lot more people who might be able to get Section 4 support on the basis that you can't leave the UK because lots of flights are grounded and there's travel restrictions. If you want to know more about this, we recommend that you find a local organisation. Obviously most of them are closed for face-to-face interviews, but you can try and contact by email or phone a local organisation who might be able to contact the organisation ASAP, the Asylum Support Appeals Project. Contact details are on their website, asaproject.org. ASAP can't give advice to individuals in the asylum process, so that's why we're suggesting that if you can, you contact a local support group who might be able to contact ASAP on your behalf if you need more information about applying for Section 4 support. You can also try to contact Migrant Help about this as well. Further submissions, fresh claims. So this is when you have had a refusal from the Home Office, a refusal from the courts, from the tribunal on appeal, and maybe you have new evidence about your asylum claim, or maybe it's based on human rights, Article 8, family life in the UK. In the past, people who had further evidence for their asylum claim, that could be for the same reason they claimed asylum initially, or it could be for a new reason, most people had to go in person to Liverpool to put in their further submissions to be considered as a fresh claim with the Home Office. But this has now been stopped, and that you can send your evidence by post or by email. The Home Office have said they prefer it to be by email, but obviously that's not going to be possible for all people if you don't have a good internet connection. If you're sending evidence by post or email, we've got the contact details on the blog post here, but remember that you can't just send, or you shouldn't just send, the evidence without any explanation. Make sure you really clearly label the evidence as being connected to your situation, and that somewhere in what you're sending you need to explain how it is further evidence that would meet the fresh claim test if you haven't got a lawyer doing this for you. And you can find out more about the fresh claim test on the fresh claims section of the Right to Remain toolkit. The situation with appeals and judicial reviews remains pretty similar to previous videos. There's no face-to-face appeal hearings at the first tier tribunal. Generally, judges are conducting pre-hearings, case management review hearings, by telephone to decide if the case can be decided on the papers without a hearing, and if it's decided that a hearing does need to go ahead, then that will be done by video link at some further date. We are hearing that these pre-hearings are generally only happening when people have a legal representative, a lawyer. So if you don't have a lawyer, you might just get a date for the full hearing going ahead, which will be done by video link. However, there's likely to be quite a lot of delays. There's a lot of backlog now because of all these changes that are taking place. If you have queries about your appeal hearing, we do recommend you try and contact the tribunal. You should have contact details on any details of the appeal hearing, and hopefully they will have some kind of setup for forwarding the calls to somebody or emails to somebody who can give you more information about your particular hearing. The upper tribunal, the next court up from the first tier tribunal, they've cancelled all their listed hearings, and this includes judicial reviews. Reporting to the Home Office has been stopped for the moment. The Home Office announced last week that reporting as a condition of immigration bail is temporarily deferred. And they advise that people would receive a text message with the details of the next reporting date. So there's still no clarity, there's no more information about how long reporting has been deferred for, but it's certainly still stopped, still been paused for the moment. With detention centres are closed to visitors, and large numbers of people are still being released. As of the 24th of March, there were 736 people in immigration detention, and we hope to see those numbers go down even more. The Home Office has committed to urgently review the cases of everyone who is in immigration detention. And they are starting with the most vulnerable. So if you know someone, or if you are someone in detention with health issues, mental health issues, other vulnerabilities, do let the Home Office or healthcare services know, because this might be important for having your case reviewed as soon as possible. And the Home Office have stopped detaining people from 49 countries because there are not removals happening with those 49 countries. And we've got a full list of the 49 countries on the blog post. It is possible that people will still be detained prior to deportation. That's deportation after a criminal conviction usually. But for administrative removal, people from these countries should not be detained. And even in the cases of deportation, there could still be a legal challenge if the person is simply not going to be deported anytime soon because of coronavirus. That's it for now. We'll do another video as and when any major changes are announced.